China CCP conundrum. Namaste guys. Welcome to Indian Geopolitics. In today's video we will talk about the thing which haunts China and Chinese President Xi Jinping the most. You may have read about recent articles of people leaving CCP or Chinese Communist Party membership lately, which in turn has made Xi Jinping worry about China's political fate. This news has left the Chinese president go haywire as it can lead to a major political turmoil in China. But why should China be worried about people leaving CCP anyways, since you may think China being an autocracy does not need public approval, as is the case in democratic setup. But this is where you are wrong, because in a democracy, if a leader fails to deliver, he or she can be removed via election. But in case of an autocracy like China, the only way in which leaders are removed is either political upsurge or assassination or even civil war. But you would wonder, what actually is CCP doing in an autocratic state, since it is a political party and has no purpose to serve, as against the case in democracy where political parties run for getting elected via voting. But guess what? To everyone's surprise, China actually has 8 political parties. These are Chinese Communist Party, Revolutionary Committee of the Chinese Kuomintang, China Democratic League, China National Democratic Construction Association, China Association for Promoting Democracy, Chinese Peasants and Workers Democratic Party, China's Gong Party, Zhusan Society, and even Taiwan Democratic Self-Government League. I know you are surprised because you may have never heard about these parties. But yes, indeed, China too is a multi-party autocratic system pretending its best to appear as democratic as possible. But why haven't you heard about these parties anyway? So the reason is very simple, and it is the fact that Chinese Communist Party or CCP is the single largest dominant party among others. It acquired its prominence due to the presence of leaders like Mao Zedong, Hu Jintao, Jiang Zemin, Zhao Ziyan, etc., who had dominated the political history of China from its emergence in 1951 as a modern state. If we look at the structure of Chinese Communist Party, it has an organized pyramidal structure with around 9.8 million grassroots members at its base, getting selected from various strata of society, but usually elites. This grassroots members then elect around 2,300 members to the National Congress, whose picture you usually see on your television. From this 2,300 members, finally members of Central Committee, Politburo, Standing Committee, and Party Leader or General Secretary are selected. At present, Xi Jinping holds the position of General Secretary of CCP. Also, you may be shocked to know that in China, the political party owns the country, unlike other countries where the nation owns political parties. Now, other than this 9.8 million grassroots members, there are many other members across the world who associate themselves with CCP either by funding them or volunteering for their cause. Now, what bothers the current Chinese president and General Secretary of the CCP is the fact that from 1st July 2023, around 415 million people have renounced their CCP membership. Yes, 415 million or 41.5 crore. This clearly shows the growing dissent against the current CCP leadership and its ruling style. The main cause for this renouncement is the economic, foreign policy, and political reasons. The COVID-19 pandemic shook the world by exposing the fact that how dangerous it was for global economy to be dependent on one single country for its manufacturing needs. China contributes more than 25% to global manufacturing and has used this economic reality to its advantage by disrupting supply chains in the recent years. Further, the Great Chinese COVID lockdown, which lasted for more than 3 years, had jolted the real estate sector, which contributes around 30% to China's GDP. The collapse of the world's largest real estate giant EverGrande, which faced a heavy loss of $80 billion and having around $300 billion debt, jolted the Chinese economy. This was followed by collapse of many other real estate companies. The direct consequence of this was largest amount of unfinished infrastructure projects being abandoned overnight. Though the homeowners had paid their hard-earned money to these real estate developers, this made millions of Chinese bankrupt overnight. This accompanied with major MNCs moving out of China, especially to countries like Vietnam, Malaysia and India, to reduce their dependence on China as manufacturing powerhouse. Companies like Samsung have established their largest mobile manufacturing factory in India. Similarly, Apple has planned to shift around 50% of its iPhone manufacturing in India by as early as 2025. This has led to an economic slowdown in China. To distract the domestic attention from this economic slowdown, CCP came up with its new foreign policy idea of wolf warrior diplomacy. This basically meant refuting, countering, and even threatening other nations publicly who dare to criticize or call out China. This would have made China look stronger in global geostrategic space. But the direct consequence of this wolf warrior diplomacy has been more belligerent response from other nations like India, Australia, Japan, etc. The third and only option that would have made China look better was its military prowess, but China failed to use its military to its advantage. China today has second largest armed forces, largest naval force, and third largest air force in the world. It has the potential to replace USA as the global security provider. But by engaging in confrontational exercise along its borders like Himalayan border with India, maritime border with Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines, etc., China lost even this opportunity to showcase its rising military might as a source of global peace-providing instrument. This has led to fear growing among major countries around the world about China's increasing aggression, which in turn resulted in these nations adopting policies to contain China. Many of China's neighboring countries have openly embraced US security cooperation to give China a stern warning. The coming few years will be very interesting since it could bring many geostrategic eventualities either from within China or because of China. Stay tuned to know more. Until then, like, subscribe and share the channel Indian Geopolitics. Jai Hind.